Hey everybody, welcome to Sid's Little Corner of the Internet. We've got another Transformers review coming your way. This time around we're going to be taking a look at the Transformers Legacy United Voyager-class Animated Universe Optimus Prime. So as we always do, let's go ahead and bring that packaging in and take a look first. So you've got Legacy United there, big gaping hole. You've got some artwork right there. In his alt mode, he is Optimus Prime, Legacy United, Voyager-class. Over here you got some sweet artwork going on the side. And you've got 40 years right there. On the back, you have Optimus Prime in his bot mode. There he is in his alt mode. You've got 40 years. You got all your warnings. You got your sad baby down there. And the baby's sad because he's a little freaked out because he can see Optimus's face. I think that takes us all back a little bit. Anyway, there's a close-up of Optimus's face right there. There he is in his bot mode. And down low, you have all that information if you care to read it. So now that we're done with that, we're going to get this box out of the way. And we're going to take a look at the important stuff, which is Optimus Prime and all of his goodies. Behold, laid out here before you is everything that came inside that box, and we'll just start over here on the right hand side with your little sheet of warnings and move those out of the way. You got your instruction booklet, and we'll move that out of the way as well. And you're left with the one accessory here. Technically speaking, he came with two things in the box. One was his axe, the other was his light bar that's on his back. But for all intents and purposes, once you put that light bar on, it becomes a part of him. There's not really anything else you do with it, so I'm not counting that as an accessory. We're only going to focus on the axe. So let's go ahead and bring it in and take a look. I think it looks pretty cool. So you've got that translucent blue right there, and then this is just painted silver, and you've got a little bit of sculpt work going on there. Then you've got painted red, and then you can see on that back side you've got that translucent blue again, kind of with that rocket area where you could put a blast effect. And then coming down here, you've just got that solid gray plastic. You've got a couple of posts. And then you have the handle down here, which is extendable, so you can have him use both of his hands to hold that. Whoa. So it's a little bit longer when you do that. So that's up to you, however you want to do it. Otherwise, you can compact it down just like that. But yeah, not much to see. You've got a post over here on this side, so you can store it on his back. And then this side is a little cleaner. And then, like I said, you can take a blast effect and plug that in. So now you've got that swinging rocket axe of death that you can use if you want to do that. So there you go. Not a lot to talk about as far as the accessories go. This is pretty cool looking. I like it. Just not a lot to talk about. So there you go. So now it's time for Mr. Prime's close-up. So let's go ahead and bring him in and take a look. And we will start with that face, which it still freaks me out being able to see Optimus's face. But there it is. And it's a little cat-like, if you ask me, with the little nose right there. It looks kind of like a cat. But not bad. Paint's good, sculpt work's good. Kind of a stern look on his face. Chest is looking pretty good. And then you've got some, I guess, some ab action going on down there. Nice X-Man themed crotch. It's just the blue and the yellow. Reminds me of Cyclops or the X-Men when they're all in their suits. Coming down to the legs, not a lot to talk about here. They look okay. They're just not super exciting. And then you do have some hollow areas on the inside right there. So a little bit of a detraction. They're not the worst. And then coming on down, you've got kind of those rounded feet. And they're not the biggest, but they hold him up pretty well. And then coming up the side here, you've got that wheel. You've got a blast effect port. You've got a little bit of detail there. There he is up underneath. So everything compacts together really well. No hollow areas. You can't really see through him from the side, so that's pretty good. And then let's go ahead and take a look at that side profile because I think that's pretty impressive as well. He's nice and lean, and I do appreciate that. He does have the smallest bit of a backpack, but I think overall he's a good-looking figure. He strikes a good silhouette from the side for sure. All right, taking a look up top here, you've got a little bit of detail going on there, and then you've got those shoulders. Moving on down to the arms, you've got some stripes, and you've got the Autobot symbol, a little bit of detail there, a little bit on the inside, just the slightest bit of a hollow area there, and then you've got those fists, so big blue fists. Looks like he's got some brass knuckles or something, looks like he could really hurt somebody. Looking up on the underside there, not too bad. And then let's go ahead and turn him around to the back. And again, kind of like the side from the back, he's not too bad. He's got some glaring hollow areas back here, but the overall pose, the overall silhouette, I think works really well. So Just bringing him in again, take a look at a little bit of that detail. There's the back of the head. And then there's that light bar that I was talking about. This was a separate piece in the box, but once you put it on, it basically just becomes a part of him. You get that blast effect port there. You got a hollow area, backs of the forearms, and then you can see a little bit up under there, but it's all black and it blends together. It doesn't do too bad of a job, I don't think. You got a little flight stand port there, and then coming down to the backs of those legs, a couple of hollow areas. But other than that, not too bad. He's not really exciting as far as the overall details go. Not a real busy body, if you will, as far as nooks and crannies and details. But he does strike a really good looking figure. I think he's got a nice silhouette to him. And I think overall the details here and the presence that he has on the shelf is pretty good. Would have liked to have seen some paint on his lights. But other than that, I mean, bot mode I think looks pretty darn good. Now let's go ahead and talk articulation on this guy. I think overall he's done pretty well. Starting with the head, you've got some up, you've got some down, you've got some side to side. You do have another joint there, so you've got the ball joint, and then you have the ability to swing that back and forth. So hopefully that's coming through on camera. And then of course you can flip that around as well, so you can go all the way around if you want to. Shoulders, you can bring them up that far. You can take them all the way around, full 360. You do a bicep rotation here where you can take that all the way around. Double jointed elbows, so you can get a full bend. Yes, it's for transformation, but you can also take advantage of it in the bot mode, of course. And then you've got hands down here that you can rotate on the wrists. Coming down to the waist, you've got waist rotation. You can go all the way around. Hips, you can come up that far, so you do not get a full split, but this is still more than enough to get him in some nice poses. You've got thigh rotation going all the way around. You have knee bend. That's going to go well past 90. And then coming down to the feet, you've got ankle tilt that'll go that far in. It's going to hit that tire before anything. And then you get a little bit of the out. And then you can do a couple of cool things with the feet here, but you can take them down. You can take them forward. Now, if you do this, you can really take them forward. So if you do a little bit of a disconnect there, and I don't know if you wanted, you could do that. It's up to you. But yeah, so you've got some decent articulation on this guy for sure. And pretty good overall balance. Had he had some heel spurs back here, I think that you could really do some crazy stuff with the guy. But I think you're not going to have any issues whatsoever really getting him into some dynamic poses. Now let's go ahead and talk about what you can do with that singular accessory. Not a lot. You know, I mean, it's a good accessory, but it's just not something that you can do a lot with. So I do have it extended here. Basically, I'm not going to waste our time in the video here with you guys watching me struggle to do this. But you can take this and poke it through here, and then he's going to hold it with both hands like that. You can struggle with that at your leisure. It's not really difficult, but it's not worth the video time here. Otherwise, you can just have him holding it in one hand like that. So there you go. You got some axe action. And then, of course, you can use any of these ports. Let go, Optimus. We talked about this. Why? Don't be stubborn in front of everybody. I know. He's got an attitude. What are you going to do? But then you've got the various ports that you can use for blast effects, or you can plug this in as well. I don't know why you would want to, but you could and do that. And it's like a special magnetic axe now. I don't know. And then, of course, you've got your storage back here. So just plug it in. And there you go. You've got axe storage. And he holds his balance fairly well. But yeah, not a lot of different things you're going to do with this accessory, but the stuff that you can do looks really cool when you've got him all posed up in it. So yeah, that pretty much covers accessories. So what we'll do now is we'll just get into the transformation and we'll get Optimus into his alt mode. So the first thing that I'm going to do to get Optimus into his truck mode is I'm going to take those hands and I'm going to collapse those in. So you've got these little panels right here on the inside. I'm just going to give those hands a push right there. That's going to open that little cavity up. I'm going to swing those hands in just like that and close that up. We'll do the same thing over here. So give that a push. Swing those in, close those up. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to collapse these arms essentially to make the side of the cab. So you've got this slot here, you've got this tab here, so you're just going to take those arms and you're going to put them on that that double bend right there and then close those up just like that. Then I'm going to swing this arm around 180 degrees so I can see that cavity right there, that hollow area. Same thing over here, so make sure you're aligned up there. Give that a push. And then swing those around 180 degrees so they're oriented like that. And now we're going to explode him essentially. So you can start right here. You've got this little double friction pin area right here just under the neck. So just give that a pull. That's going to separate the front of that cab or his chest area. And then back here, we're just going to give this a pull. And that's going to pull this out on that double hinge right there. And what this allows us to do now is you've got his tires right here. So you're just going to give these a little bit of a pull. You can see up in there, there's a tab and a slot. And that's going to be essential for transforming him back as well, so make note of that. And then pull those out just like that. And then what this allows us to do is we can now swing these shoulders. Let me do that first. Swing these shoulders out just like that. And then I'm going to bring this up just like that. And now you can collapse these tires, so you get this area right here, and collapse these wheels. Just bring those down and close those up into that area right there. And then do the same thing over here, close that up. And then you'll notice you have this little tab right there, and then it's hard to see, but there's a little slot under there. So you're going to want to take this and swing this until it gives that soft click, just like that. And that way you know you've got those aligned properly. Do the same thing over here. So you get that soft click. And now we're almost done with the front or the cab of the vehicle. So now you're just going to take this back piece right here. You're going to swing this up and over and just get it sitting there so you can see that roof line right there kind of lines up. Just double check over here, make sure that lines up. And then you're going to bring this cab, the front of it, and you're going to bring that forward, and then you're just going to press this in. So you've got these tabs right here. You're going to go into those slots right there. You've got some tabs right here that are going to align to these slots right up here. And it is not a perfect fit. It gets pretty close. Just give everything a squeeze. And do the best you can. Like I say, on mine, there's a little bit of a gap up here. But get it as close as possible. I'm going to give that a little twist right there. Get my thumbs in there. There we go. I like that a little bit better. And then close that up right there as good as you can. So that's about as good as I'm going to get it. Maybe I'm being a perfectionist, I don't know. But anyway, yeah, so that is the front of the cab. And now we're going to turn our attention down here to the lower body. So you have 2 points of rotation here. Make sure you're using this point of rotation. And give him an angle just so you've got clearance. And then you're going to spin this around 180 degrees, just like that. Because our final step is going to be these tabs right here going into these slots up here. All right, but we need to focus on these legs and make the rear of that truck. So I'm just going to straighten these legs out right there. So that way everything's aligned in the thigh. Then I'm going to give this a pull. Before I do, I'm going to bring these feet down. So bring your feet down, extend them out like that. And then I'm going to give this a pull right here. That's going to open those legs up. And then I'm going to make something like that. And then you've got a break point right here where you just pull this tab out of that slot. So you got a little bit of that going on. Just leave that like that. For now, we're going to come over to this one, do the same thing. Pull that foot out and then give this a pull. There we go. And that one broke for me automatically just because of the force that I had to apply on it, which is great. Now, if we look back here, you've got a connection right there. You could force it, but the easiest way is to just kind of get those and slide them together like that. So you've got those connected as such. After you've done that, now you can just simply swing these forward. Get that cab out of your way a little bit. Swing these forward and push these into place. Give those a click. And do the same thing on this side. Give everything a nice click. Make sure it goes in. And then you've got these 2 ports on either side right here that are going to correspond to these pegs. So you're going to bring those feet up and swing those feet down and squeeze them into those ports. Do the same thing over here. And once you're done with that, now you're just going to take that cab, bring that down, and then you're going to feel that soft click. And there you have Optimus Prime in his vehicle mode. Now that we have him in his vehicle mode, here he is on that turntable so you can get a full 360-degree view unobstructed from my hands. So as you can see, for the most part, I think he's a good-looking vehicle mode here. I'm not the biggest fan of those feet. I think they're kind of obnoxious on the back. However, overall, the overall look of this guy I think is pretty good. I can't speak definitively to how accurate he is to the on-screen version of the Animated Prime because that was a show that I did not watch. I'd grown out of Transformers for a while at that point, but hopefully he matches that. I do think that for the most part, sculpt work is good. He could have used more paint. He does have some outlines here for tail lights. He's got some panels elsewhere that I think a little bit of paint would have gone a long way. But the overall look of this guy I think is pretty cool. I do like the way he looks. So we'll go ahead and we'll get that turntable out of the way. We'll bring him in, take a look at those details up close and go from there. Alright, so for those detailed looks at the vehicle mode, let's start right up here with the cab. You can see he's got that black windscreen. He's got those yellow headlights. Would have liked to have seen something right here on these lights. Then he's got that big old grill. Something here would have been nice as far as paint, but he does have a little bit of sculpt work up in there. Coming around to the side, I do like the black and the silver stripe. I think that looks pretty cool. Would have liked to have seen the hubs a different color, but at least they're not, you know, true mushroom pegs, so they don't look horrible at all. These feet, I don't like the way they look back here. I understand based on limitations of a figure, a Voyager class, but still not the biggest fan of it. Back here you've got some sculpt work, a little bit of spot for tail lights, brake lights, turn signals, whatever you want to call them. And then over here this side looks suspiciously like the other side. And up top, and then from below. So the one compliment that I will certainly give this figure is you don't see robot other than the feet. You don't see robot anywhere. Top, bottom, left, right, doesn't matter. I mean, you've got a vehicle all the way around, and I think he looks pretty good. So overall, I like the way he looks in this vehicle mode, minus those feet. So now let's go ahead and talk about the accessory and all the crazy stuff you can do with that accessory in this vehicle mode. I hope you can keep up. This is a lot to take in. Are you ready? Okay, so you're going to take the axe and you're going to plug it in. There you go. Look at that. Wild, right? I know. Calm down. Everybody calm down. Where does it end, right? So I'm being a little more than a little sarcastic, I suppose, but it's a huge axe. There's not a lot you're going to be able to do with that axe in this mode. So, you know, you essentially plug it into any 5mm port you can find. If you want to plug it in up here, you can plug it in up there, and I guess it's a gun at that point if you want to do that. So just not a lot you can do with it. But as you can see, you do have 5mm ports everywhere, so you could really, you know, just have a good time with this guy, you know, anywhere you've got one of those. So you got him here, 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 here. So you've got ports everywhere. You can have a good time, I guess. Just not a lot you're going to do with this accessory, unfortunately. So weapon storage is mediocre, and it doesn't really translate into the vehicle mode very well at all. But hey, at least we have something. So now that we've got all that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into the comparisons for the alt mode and see how he looks against some other figures. Alright, so our first alt mode comparison is the closest thing that I have to an original Animated Universe Optimus Prime figure. This is a spring-loaded, I guess a toy, if you want to call it that. It is transformable, but it is a spring-loaded figure that we got for Sid when he was a little kid, just to help indoctrinate him into the world of Transformers. So this thing has been sitting around in a toy box for many, many years, and I dug it out specifically for this this review and this comparison. But there you go. Like I say, this is the closest thing that I have to that original Animated Universe Prime. Moving on to our next comparison. This is really just for the purposes of scaling here, so you get an idea of size. This is the Core Class Kingdom Optimus Prime. And for our final alt mode comparison, here we see Optimus with another figure from the same family tree. This is the Transformers Legacy United Animated Universe Bumblebee. So these two guys live in the same universe together. I think they look pretty darn good together as well. Alright, that does it for the alt mode comparisons, so let's get Optimus transformed back into his bot mode. So the first thing that I'm going to do to get Optimus back into his bot mode is I'm just going to separate this area from the cab, and that's just a matter of just hanging on here, grabbing here, giving that a little bit of a pull, and that's going to separate those tabs right there, and then that lets this flop around freely. So once you get it to about this angle, remember you're rotating right here, you're just going to rotate that around 180 degrees so that way you've got that oriented properly. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to focus on the legs first, that way I can stand him up if I want to before I work on the upper body. So in order to do that, I'm going to take these feet, give these feet a pull, and that's going to separate those pegs from those ports right there, and bring those on out just like that. Do the same thing over here. Then I'm going to separate these legs right down here. You could pry them, or you could give them a little bit of a lift and separate them like that. That's my preferred method. And now you're just going to take this area right here, pull this and separate that out. And then you're going to bring that leg down. You could, if you want, you've got a tab and a slot right there. You could, if you want now, to go ahead and lock that in. But I've found that in the process of moving this foot up, this is going to come loose anyway. So let's go ahead and try it. We'll see what happens. But you're going to take that foot. You've got 2 points of rotation right here. So you're going to bring that up, bring this over, and then close that up just like that. So if I held right there, that didn't break loose, so yay. And then I'm going to collapse this foot, so that's just sitting on that double hinge like that. Collapse the foot up, and you've got one leg done. So let's go ahead and do the same thing over here. So give that a pull, bring that down, lock it now if you choose to. We'll try it again, hold it right there, and then bring this up, spin all that around, and give that a squeeze, and then boom. Just like that, we have 2 legs finished, and there he is. He's all done. No, I'm just kidding. All right, so I don't know why would I do that? Go ahead and separate the cab here, and then pull this piece back right there and get that out of your way. So let's just keep all that exploded, just like that. That's going to allow us to get in here and do all the dirty work we need to do right here. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to break this right here, and I'm going to pop that tab out of that slot, and I'm going to do the same thing on this side. And the reason that you need to do that is because you need to flare these tires out like that and get those up out of your way, because what you need to do is you need to collapse these shoulders. So the shoulders are in this rotation point right here, so you're actually going to take that shoulder assembly and you're going to bring it down just like that. So I'll show this one from the front. You're just going to bring that down just like that. And then you've got a couple of points where it's going to catch right here. So you also need to note that it rotates like this. So you're going to have to get that orientation correct as well. What's going to help you with that is if you look up under here, where's the good view? Let's just pull this back up out of the way. You've got some tabs right there, and you've got these little tiny slots right there. So when you bring that shoulder assembly down, you're going to align those tabs to those slots, and that's going to lock you into the right orientation, and you should have something that looks like that. Once you've got that here, now you've got these tabs that are going to correspond back here to these slots. Before I do that, just to make sure I've got clearance, I'm going to take these arms and just lift them up like that. And then I'm going to bring this back piece down on that double hinge. I'm going to align those and then give that a squeeze. And then this back piece right here is also going to help make sure that my shoulders lock into place so they don't rotate freely on me. All right, now I'm going to take this chest piece, bring that chest piece down, and you'll notice right here you've got those little nubs on either side, and then you've got these little ports right there, if you will, or these open areas, and then you're just going to align those up, and then that's just going to friction right into place. All right, so now you have the upper body done, and now we're relegated just to the arms. So take the arms, rotate them around 180 degrees, and then you're going to split them right here. You're going to open that hand up, pull the hand out, or open the arm up, pull the hand out, and then close that back up. Then do the same thing over here, rotate that 180 degrees. Got a little ahead of myself there with the prying. Bring that down, and then open that up. Close the hand, And there you have Optimus back in his bot mode. For our first bot mode comparison, here is the closest approximation that I have to anything remotely Transformers animated Optimus Prime. So this was just a toy that we got Sid when he was a little kid. And yeah, there you go. It's the best I got. Next comparison, to give you a sense of scale here, this is the Core Class War for Cybertron Optimus Prime on the right. And for our final bot mode comparison, I think these two guys look pretty good together. So these are both Transformers Legacy United Transformers animated figures. Of course, we're talking about Bumblebee. That's going to do it for the bot mode comparisons, so let's go ahead and get into those final thoughts. So there we have the Transformers Legacy United Animated Universe Voyager-class Optimus Prime. And this is definitely a good figure. He's better than I thought he was going to be. Not perfect, but he's pretty close for the price, I guess. Let's go ahead and jump into it, and we'll start with the overall looks, the aesthetic that he brings. Between the two modes, I will say that his bot mode is my preferred mode. The alt mode, it's okay. I think he could have used more paint applications really in the alt mode more than bot mode is where he needs them a little bit more. Particularly, you know, brake lights, that kind of stuff. Maybe some lights or some paint applications for those lights on the top of his cab right up here. That would have gone a long way. And then I just don't really like the way that the feet fold up in the alt mode. They're just, I know they're supposed to be kind of sort of a hitch, but they don't really work for me. But the bot mode, I think, looks really good. I don't have many major complaints here at all. He's got a couple of hollow areas, but everything comes together, and he's just got a nice shelf presence. So I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10 for the overall looks. Moving on to the articulation, this is pretty good. I mean, you really can't ask for a lot more at this price point for a mainline figure. He does almost everything you want him to do, from the head, shoulders, bicep rotation, you know, double jointed elbows. Yes, they're for transformation, but you can certainly take advantage of it. You've got wrist rotation, waist rotation, plenty of range of motion in those legs and feet. So not a lot to complain about there. A couple of minor nitpicks. I guess a wish list thing would have been an ab crunch, always, right? And then the ability to maybe have brought those feet forward just a little bit so he could have his feet behind him and still be flat on the ground. But overall, pretty good. You can get this guy in all kinds of amazing poses. Not representing what I've done here. I was just lacking some imagination at the time of this recording to put him in a nice action pose, but there you go. So articulation, I'm going to give him a 9 out of 10. Moving on to his accessories, or his accessory in this case, it's pretty cool. It looks good. I really like the translucent blue for that axe blade. I do find it slightly uninspiring, though. There's just not a whole lot that, at least in my opinion, that I feel like I can do with this. He can hold it. You can store it in the bot mode. The alt mode storage is absolutely horrendous. It's just bad, you know. So I'm going to knock him a little bit for that. The other thing that I'm going to say is, maybe it's just me, but I do not seem to have the magic to be able to extend this piece out and have him use both hands to hold it like that. I just can't get him lined up where I'm comfortable with it. So on my shelf, he's either going to have it on his back or he's going to have it in just one hand. So I don't know. I feel like he should have come with more at this price point, or I feel like there should have just been more as far as that accessory goes. It's not awful. I'm uninspired by it. So I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10 for his accessory. Moving on to overall quality. Again, much like the articulation, no major complaints here. This is about as good as you would expect to find from a mainline figure. If I'm going to pick his shoulders, the rotation here is ever so loose, or ever so slightly loose. So it's not the tightest thing. He's not going to drop his arms when he's holding his weapon or anything like that, at least not yet. But that is a possibility down the road. But everything else, I mean, he comes together fine. It looks good, came with everything that he was supposed to, so no major complaints there, just some slightly loose shoulders, so a 9 out of 10. So then that brings us to our final bullet, which is overall value. I picked this figure up. This was at a local Target here in North America. I paid $35 US for it. That's the MSRP for a Voyager class figure for Transformers, so keeping that in mind, do I think he's worth the Voyager class MSRP? In comparison to other figures, yes I do. But in the grand scheme of things, I still think $35 is too much money to pay for this figure, considering just a year or maybe 3 years ago now, I lost track of time, that these were $30 figures, maybe $28 figures. So just something to keep in mind there. So I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10 for overall value. But you add all that up, you get to the grand total, and out of a possible 50 points, Optimus Prime gets 41 out of 50, which puts him at 82%. So in spite of a few of those shortcomings, I'm going to recommend this figure. I think he's a lot of fun. He's relatively easy to transform. He's easy and fun to handle. He looks good in his bot mode. The alt mode is what it is. But I think that there's a lot of playability here, and I think also a really nice overall shelf presence look to this guy. So I think he's worth picking up if you find him. So that's going to wrap the review up. I hope you guys got some good information. Hope you got some entertainment out of this. Hope you did not just hear my dog flapping her ears in the background, but if you did, hey, congratulations. But yeah, if you haven't already done so, be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe. Leave a comment if you feel like it. I am really bad about getting back to the comments. I do apologize about that. But one other favor to ask is, if you haven't already done this, if you know of anybody that may like the channel, that likes what we do here, please share this video, share the channel with them. It's always fun to watch that community grow. So with that, it's going to wrap it up. Until we see you guys in the next review, take care.